Hi, welcome to Inspiration Daily for February 15th, 2022. I'm Gina Greenlee, your host of GinaGreenlee.com. Hey, today's inspiration is still comes from my journey of decluttering, and the specific inspiration as it relates to decluttering for some people might be downsizing. Uh, is for some people it might be organizing. You're not giving things away. You're not trying to diminish the volume of what you own or what you possess um, for the time that you are on this planet, but you are looking to organize it in some way. So for a while, I put off I procrastinated on what I call the I really with the, sort of the last stage of my um, decluttering, releasing objects, and uh, because it's the hardest to me. It's easy to get rid of clothes and furniture and knickknacks and that kind of stuff. That really wasn't that hard at all. And I actually, as I mentioned before, I had a lot of fun meeting people on Craigslist as I could see the joy that they were having when I would sell them a rug. They were like, oh, like this. There was this one area rug that was really beautiful. Oh, yeah, and it was like it looked like it was a piece of artwork, and and then I had these lamps, and I just had these nice pieces. I had this gossip bench, and nice vintage pieces that I had purchased over the years that I had acquired through my travels, and it was really a lot of fun. It was wonderful, actually. It was heartwarming to see people say, "Oh, I just moved here and I was looking for a table like this, or I needed an accent like this, and wow, this is such a great price." Because I would always price it to sell. I didn't feel like haggling. I was like, I could probably get $50 for this, but if I put it for 20, I know somebody's just going to come and get it, and that's fine. So it was really that to me that kind of downsizing was really easy. I had a convertible that seats five people, and usually I was the only one in it. I love the convertible, and now I ride a motorcycle full time, and it's great. So um, those were those things were fairly easy to do. To me, the more challenging pieces is the artwork, the ephemera of life, and so that's really, and then papers. I think papers are the hardest thing to deal with when you're downsizing, because you really got to go through your papers. And particularly in these days of identity theft and all that, you can't just be throwing your stuff in the trash. I know you have to shred it, and so um papers. Fortunately, I don't think I have too much of that. I did a lot of that, but still, I'm opening boxes and I'm like, oh my God, papers. So again, how do I make this fun? Well, so part of it is, there'll be piles. You're like, oh yeah, this is back tax. You're not, these are old taxes that I don't have to keep anymore, more than however many years, a decade or whatever. Oh, this is the pile from when I was writing a proposal, for that company. Okay, well, I know I don't need that. You just make sure there's not a credit card slip or something in there. But then you come across this miscellaneous stuff, and there's there's really two fun ways that I'm dealing with paper, rather than, because you just can't toss it out. There's some stuff that you really that you may need, or and uh, when you take your final trip, there's some papers and things that last will and testament and things like that associated with that you do have to kind of keep a safe space for, but I don't have too much of that. So I came across this package of papers. It's like, oh, what's this? It's a car rental and MapQuest. Yeah, that's me. I still use MapQuest. A hotel reservation, And what I came across is my whole travel package if you, uh, for a workshop I took in Miami in 2019. And it was July of 2019. And as we now know, the pandemic was was working its way, or was beginning its trip around the globe. It had because when 2020 came along, um, you know, it was it was time to deal with the pandemic. So this was actually my last trip that I took before the pandemic. I haven't traveled since, not be, not because of the pandemic. I just haven't traveled. But I took a workshop. It was an animal flow workshop, and I'll put in the transcript box what that is. It'll and links to animal flow videos. And it was a fitness workshop, and I just really loved it. And I had never. I'm trying to think if I had ever been to Miami before. I don't remember. I might have taken a business meeting there during my corporate years. And the thing about those business meetings, and then you'd go from the airport to the conference hotel and you do your meeting, and you never really see the light of day. You go, it'd be night, you go to dinner, you wouldn't see anything. So I don't remember if I was in Miami. I literally don't. Oh, that's not. Oh, I was in Miami before, but when I moved down here, I think, and I did another conference thing in Miami. But before I moved to Florida, I don't remember going to Miami. That doesn't mean I wasn't there. So so here's the thing. So with decluttering and paper, I don't need to save all of this. I mean, I don't know. This will get tossed. But before it gets tossed, which is the point of this installment video, is I want to remember. One of the things I wanted when I got to this stage of my life is I wanted wonderful memories and no regrets. And that's exactly what I have. It doesn't mean that I didn't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that I didn't say things or do things that I mean, I lived my life. But in the grand scheme of things, I didn't hurt any children. I didn't hurt any animals. I didn't hurt any elderly, any people, anybody who was sick or vulnerable. I didn't take advantage of anybody. I didn't steal from anyone. I haven't hurt anyone. So, and I've led a decent life. So, um, in all of the mistakes that I have made in my life, and if we all make mistakes, have been really to my own detriment, nobody else's. And to me, that's how it should be. My mistakes only affected me. They didn't have any ripple effects that I'm aware of. So I I'm remembering this workshop and what it meant to me. I was actually the oldest person in this fitness workshop. It was me and another guy, and I was 50. I was in my very late 50s, and it was interesting. It was interesting. Uh, Being and I have training in public health, and I was a health educator, and I was one of the early exercise physiologists. I got that degree back in the 80s, before, when nobody knew what exercise physiology was. They were like, what the hell is that? So it was interesting being in this room of people, some of whom were 40 years not quite 40 because I was in my fifth, but maybe 30 years anyway, 10, 15, 20, 30 years my junior. And to see the evolution of how the fitness industry had changed, and what um, private training was like now, and just how the best practices in training, being a fitness trainer, private fitness trainer, had evolved. I wasn't taking it to use uh, in a professional fitness training practice. Most of the other men and women in the workshop were did that professionally. To me, it was just, I'm a lifelong learner, and I don't like going to the gym because I like being outside, and I wanted, I like body weight strength training. Uh, but I wanted to move, evolve beyond. I had taken yoga, I'd done Pilates, I had done whatever the thing was, I did it. And, aerobics, calisthenics, and I don't like going to the gym. I like more organic movement in my strength training. So I really wanted to do body weight training, and I wanted something that was more fluid and dance like. I discovered animal flow. And so when I look, so here's my point. I'm going to toss this out now. I mean, there's my hotel reservations, and I remember I love the hotel I stayed in. I love the restaurants I ate in. I mean, just great Cuban food. I loved when I went walking, um, after the workshop, and I would walk this. There was this kind of mall area where I would got my food and great, Cuban food. Um, I would hear Spanish being spoken, and I don't hear that where I live. And growing up in New York City, I was always hearing all these languages, and you get on the subway and you hear. I saw a statistic one day. There's almost 300 different languages that are spoken in New York City alone, and so I miss that. I miss that, uh, and so that's what this is. This is not just get rid of the paper because I can't stand it anymore. It's just throw out what needs to be thrown out, shred what needs to be shred, and then when you come across something and you go, oh, here's this memory. Just for me, what what is making this decluttering process joyful and not a chore is the intentionality of it. I want to discover. I want to be open to the possibilities. I want to repurpose. I want to remember, and reflect, and express gratitude for the experiences that I've had, and then I let it go, and that stays with me in here. It doesn't have to stay, in a pile, in my second room there. So I share this in the spirit of, if for those who want to deal with their piles of paper, their file cabinet, and have been resisting because it feels chore like, my share is to embrace the adventure, the possibilities of the discovery, the memories that it it triggers, um, and perhaps unknown gifts that the newly rediscovered items in your paper files might um, engender. Take care.